G'day legends, or should I say g'day hypocrites out there, because it turns out you, me, other way around, you, me, everybody watching this goddamn video, like 90% of the MMA community are just giant hypocrites. In today's video, we are going to be talking about UFC 317 and how come it's not stacked with 3 title fights on there. Why aren't we seeing the light heavyweight title challenged for at UFC 317, and whether or not the contender or the champion is the one that gets to decide the pace of the division. And essentially it all comes down to whether or not you're a superstar in the UFC. Superstar when it comes to selling UFC pay-per-views, or at least getting clicks for the UFC. That's what we're going to be breaking down in today's video, and the fans' reaction to all of it. Let me explain, right? Listen, for the last 3 weeks, Magomed Ankalaev and the UFC have been putting out feelers. Yeah, they put out feelers to Alex Pereira to see if he would be willing to step up on short notice again, like he's done so many times in the past, and fight Magomed Ankalaev 2 at the rematch at UFC 317. And Alex Pereira said no. Then he went on to crack a bit of a hissy fit. They also went out and asked Yuri Prochazka if he was available as well, but Yuri Prochazka went, no, mate. A brain this size, a brain this intelligent can't be wasted with just getting hit in the head. Yuri Prochazka's out there getting himself an education. Yeah, praise the young man, right? And Magomed Ankalaev was like, fine, this is great. I support both of these men's decisions, and he went and posted on Twitter recently. Magomed said, Alex Pereira don't want the Ank anymore, calling himself the Ank, like it, based, what a Chad. Let's leave him alone because I'm not a bully, and the fake ninja wants to go back to school because he can't read good. I find that personally offensive, mate, alright? There's nothing wrong with not being able to read good, and that seems to be the fallout of it. So as we now know, they offered the title shot on a quick turnaround to Alex Pereira, who politely said no, and then they said, all right, Alex Pereira, if you don't want that fight, we got to move ahead. So they went and offered it to Yuri Prochazka, who politely said no, and then Alex Pereira found out that they went ahead and asked Yuri Prochazka, and Alex Pereira acted like a little high school girl and cracked an absolute hissy fit, went on a little rampage on Twitter saying he can't believe that the UFC is doing this to him, and that he's thinking about not even fighting anymore. And then the UFC seemed to call him up and say, Alex, sweetheart, baby girl, just calm down. And then Alex went and just lied to all of our faces and said that his account was hacked. Sure. Now, this is where it's going to get grating for the Alex Pereira fans out there. I know most of you are, but this is where we all become hypocrites. Did Alex Pereira save the UFC a number of times last year? Yes, he did. Thank you, Alex Pereira. You stepped up to save the UFC on short notice a bunch of times last year, and you were well compensated for it. Does Alex Pereira deserve a rematch? Does he deserve to fight Magomed Ankalaev again? Yes, absolutely he does deserve a rematch. I don't think there are many people out there that are saying Alex Pereira shouldn't get a rematch against Magomed Ankalaev. However, should the champion be marching to the drum of when Alex Pereira is ready to go? No, he absolutely should not. And the funny thing is, the reason why I kicked this off by saying we are all hypocrites is because we all completely agree with that. Because this happened last year. The exact same thing happened the exact same time last year with the exact same 2 fighters, except the roles were completely reversed. It was UFC 300. Does everyone remember this? UFC 300. It was around the middle of last year, early second quarter of last year. And we knew that Magomed Ankalaev was without a doubt the number 1 deserving contender for the UFC light heavyweight title shot. And he was offered UFC 300 on short notice, and he turned it down because he practices Ramadan. So the division went on to move on without him, and everyone was laughing at Magomed Ankalaev, and we all thought it was completely fine. Yeah, we all just like to memory hold this situation right now when it comes to Alex Pereira saying he's not ready. And in case you don't remember, here's Magomed Ankalaev saying that he was offered to fight Alex Pereira at UFC 300, but he turned it down since he was observing Ramadan. He also says that he was promised the title shot next, which he didn't get. It went on to be Khalil Roundtree. He was actually offered the fight with the UFC owner, but instead he's doing Ramadan. And again, we all reacted to that saying, yeah, look, you're a free human being. You want to practice your religious freedom. You're absolutely able to go and do that. You go observe Ramadan, not a problem, but the UFC needs to move on without you. The sport can't wait for you to be ready. Funny, isn't it? And again, this isn't the only time this has happened. Now, take two other completely separate fighters. Remember last year, Alexander Volkanovski got kicked in the head and then slept with Ilia Topuria? And everyone was like, yeah, look, obviously Alexander Volkanovski absolutely deserves a rematch. Obviously he deserves another rematch. But he needs time to get his head glued back on and make sure that he can still talk good and not sound like Tito Ortiz. But the division has to roll on. So Ilia Topuria went on to fight Max Holloway, yeah? Now, why is this such a big deal? Because it just points out the general hypocrisy that runs in the UFC fan base, yeah? In 2024, Magomed Ankalaev isn't a star. Calendar needs to be satisfied. We roll on without him. UFC in 2025. UFC 316 or UFC 317, could either of these cards not use an extra title fight? Could they not use an extra title fight? Could UFC 318, which right now is just Dustin Poirier having a good time with Max Holloway, not use a title fight on top of that? Could Magomed Ankalaev not use an extra 300 to 500k in his bank account, depending on whatever the Snake Ali has done for him when it comes to contract negotiations? All of these have a yes answer. 318, 316 could be better. 317 could be better. 318 could definitely be better. Magomed Ankalaev could probably do with earning a little bit more money, yeah? But no one cares. No one cares. And do not give me the nonsense of, if Alex Pereira say no and Yuri Prohaska say no, there's no one for Magomed Ankalaev to fight. Because there is, mate. Yet again, do I need to remind everybody of Khalil Roundtree, ranked number 8th. Coming off a drug suspension, getting a title shot because the UFC kept the number 1 contender, Magomed Ankalaev, too busy to fight, yeah? Or the nuclear bomb of all undeserved title shots that we are all sick about hearing about. The completely wasted pay-per-view of Stipe Miocic coming off a loss and 4 years or no activity. Right now, as we speak, as you and I have this conversation right now, the UFC are in the process of taking down Movsar Evloev's pants and telling him to bite the pillow because UFC 320 is going to be Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez, the goddamn rematch that nobody wants. Colby Covington went in there to fight Leon Edwards at a title shot when Bilal Muhammad was obviously the number 1 contender. Are you going to be so anti-Magomed Ankalaev that you were going to tell me that Magomed Ankalaev versus Dominic Reyes isn't going to work for any one of the 3 title fights that could use an extra fight on them? Or Magomed Ankalaev versus Carlos Ulberg. Yeah, the win over Jan Blachowicz was a robbery, but guess what? No one cares. You don't tell that to Piotr Jan over Sean O'Malley or Corey Sandhagen after Dillashaw robbed him, or like Arnold Allen's career after the Movsar Evloev fight. Yeah, you were robbed, mate, but no one cares. The show must go on. You will get steamrolled by the UFC's calendar, unless you're a superstar. Unless you get clicks for the UFC, you know, unless you're Alex Pereira or John Jones, you know, and when it's John Jones, when it's a superstar that everybody hates, everyone makes a bunch of noise about it. The whole MMA community is strip John Jones, not like that, not in the way that he'd enjoy, but strip him of his belt, you know? But when we like Alex Pereira, you know, Magomed Ankalaev, yeah, I'm looking for a fight, Alex Pereira says no, he kicks up a hissy fit on Twitter, MMA community. I didn't see nothing, mate. I didn't see nothing. You know, Magomed Ankalaev is missing out on like $300k, $500,000, whatever he's getting. UFC 317 is weak. It's weak. It's weak as shit. Don't act like it's not weak. Don't tell me you don't think Magomed Ankalaev versus Dominic Reyes or Carlos Ulberg wouldn't help, you know? And fuck Alex and fuck the Poetards. I know they're going to rage out about it. But again, if you only got to keep the division moving if it's the star that's at stake. Does everyone remember this from last year or 2 years ago? I don't even remember how long ago this was, but does everyone remember this? There you go. This was back in 2023. We're getting so old so quickly. This was in 2023. Anyway, all the way back in 2023. I thought this was like a year ago, mate. Anyway, in 2023, Israel Adesanya, he goes off on Dricus du Plessis and says Sean Strickland's next, right? I'm fighting in Sydney. I don't care who. Dricus du Plessis, fuck off, you're out. Sean Strickland, you're in. Let's do the man dance. Izzy never should have called out Sean Strickland. That was the beginning of the end for Israel Adesanya. Little did we know. But that's the point, right? The calendar's not waiting for Dricus du Plessis. He's not a big enough star. Israel Adesanya, we got fucking video games to sell, okay? Got to get the division moving. Yeah, now Alex Pereira's in the same position. He would like to make himself a nice little bank account. I am a UFC fan. I'd like to see, I don't know, a fucking title fight on a pay-per-view. UFC 318. Is that too much to ask? Here's a champion sitting here looking for a fight, unlike John Jones, who's busy in Thailand seeing how far he can fucking fling Hezbollah. And shit's not happening. And we're all super cool with it. We're super cool with it because we like Alex Pereira, you know? And it's got nothing to do. All of the fans out here, some of them want to talk about meritocracy. Some of them want to talk about morality of the fights. You know, some of them want to say they're biased. They're not biased. It's all, none of it really fucking matters. None of it really matters. It all comes down to money. It comes down to pay-per-view clicks. How much ad revenue does your name bring into the UFC? The UFC is going to put on a pay-per-view, KO Sports, ESPN, Saudi Arabia, TNT Sports, countries all over the world are going to already do pre-buys for it. It's already pre-sold, and we're going to do some commercials during the pay-per-view. And how many eyes do you get pointed at our screen while those commercials are playing? If you're John Jones, Israel Adesanya, and Alex Pereira, the champ will wait. Well, if you're John Jones, the interim champ will wait for you for over a year for no reason. No reason at all. If your name's Magomed Ankalaev, you will wait. You're the champ. You will wait until your good contender is ready. And this isn't the only time the UFC have done it either. Remember Aljamain Sterling? Yeah? He had a title fight, and then they said to him 6 weeks later, you're defending against Sean O'Malley. We need Sean O'Malley to have that belt. This is just another one of those situations. Another one of those situations where they want the pay-per-view of Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, and we, the fans at UFC 317 and UFC 318, can get fucked, and Magomed Ankalaev's bank account can get fucked, and we will sit there and wait till Alex Pereira is ready because he's kind of popular. And no one's going to bitch about it because he's kind of popular. That's what's going on right now. That's the news. Anyway, let me know what you think about that down there in the comments. Do you think Alex Pereira should get pushed to the back of the line like Arman Sarukian? Guess what, mate? You're not ready for UFC 318. Carlos Ulberg, you're up. How angry would you be at that? Would you be interested in a Carlos Ulberg title fight? Or a Dominic Reyes, the feel-good story of the light heavyweight division? From upcoming a near-death health experience to being one to dethrone the bad guy Magomed Ankalaev. This brings in a whole other conversation, doesn't it? Where rather than the UFC just going for... I thought I was done. I'm not done. Rather than the UFC just going for the guy that gets them easy clicks, like a Sean O'Malley, or like an Alex Pereira, or an Israel Adesanya. If the UFC was actually a fucking promotion company, like it's meant to be, and Dana White was actually a fucking promoter, you could take the guy, Dominic Reyes, who was robbed at his one title shot against John Jones, the man that should have been the lineal champion of the lightweight division, and then found himself nearly dead on a hospital bed to work his way back up to a win string through the movements of fates and time alone, where people are simply not ready in front of him. He is being presented with another title shot yet again against the bad guy of the division, the one that all the fans hate, Magomed Ankalaev. You could actually fucking sell that if you could be bothered selling it. But instead, the UFC production machine just points its cameras at whatever gets the easiest amount of clicks for the least amount of effort. Another reason why the UFC isn't a fucking promotion company anymore. Because if it was, you could promote Dominic Reyes. You could promote the hell out of him. But here we are. What are you going to do about it? We're just going to sit around and do nothing about it. So it turns out there was a little bit of rant left in the tank. God damn it. Anyway, if this is your first time here, welcome. My name's Doug. I make an MMA video every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week if the power doesn't go out. Sorry about yesterday's stream, boys. The power just went completely out. It is what it is. Obviously, we got it working again, but a couple of floodlights are on. What am I saying? What am I doing? I'm saying goodbye. Like the stream. Like the video. This is a video, not a stream. Like the video. Let me know about what you think about that and Alex Pereira ducking Magomed Ankalaev down there in the comments. If you're one of the paying members of the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys. And until then, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.